Test, test. All right, cool. Let's turn this off for a second. Howdy, folks. My name's Dave. I'm a wood turner. I started this channel to become a better teacher and demonstrator. Also, to become a better turner. It's more practice time for me. And the more I work with other turners, showing them, teaching them wood turning skills, the more that also gets cemented into my head. So it's kind of a double whammy. So I really enjoy teaching. I really enjoy turning, and I appreciate you joining me tonight. Let's see. It is Twitch Tuesday. Hey, hey. And let's see. I think I got everything set up. So I'm going to start off with. I started a new segment, so just kind of a scrap wood project, right? So let's turn this down here. So what I have is a piece of 8/4 hard maple. Piece of scrap board, a piece of, I think this is probably maple burl, but it might be black locust. We'll find out once, I hope, once I get a better color check on it with fresh wood. And then I have an old lid off a piece. I don't remember when I turned this thing. This has been floating around for quite a long time too, with the idea that someday I was going to reuse it because it's turned so nice. It's a it's an even wall thickness. It is a piece of maple burl. You can see the curl in it. So I'm going to make a little box to use this for. And this will be the finial. We'll just get right into it. Let's move these guys aside. Actually, what I think I'll do is I'll start off with the finial. See what kind of grooviness we get out of this once it's round. It also may not be a large enough piece. We'll find out. I think I could move that way. But I am hoping that all these bark inclusions and all that stuff will look really nice on the finial. Make sure I got my tool height here. Tool rest height, it's a little low. All that's gonna clear, but it's not secure. This guy here is a piece of dry wood. Let's see if I go. I think everything's backwards with this guy. I think. There we go. That's better. Centered. All right. Let's see. Where's my longest side? That will still clear. All right. So glass is down. Let's make this round. I'm just doing simple push cuts. I don't own a spindle roughing gouge. I used to. Before I started exploring the utility of all the tools that I have. I used it a couple times on some larger pieces, and that's typically when I would use it anyway. But I found that I got a lot of utility out of the bowl gouge too, so for me, I think it's a little easier to not have to switch between tools all the time. fewer tools I gotta carry around. Excuse me, that I have to carry around. Fewer that I've gotta. Let's drop this down just a little bit. Try to simplify things a bit. Another piece break off there. Mostly round, not quite, I think. Nope, it's mostly round. All right, so I can see that I'm really only going to be able to use this up here, and that's going to be an issue. Especially if that comes off and comes apart. So let's see, I think what I'll do, I don't know if that can be saved. Let's see. I might be able to hit it with some thin CA glue if this crack is small enough. It might help. And I don't know, I might shoot it everywhere. I would really like to be able to use this. And looks like maple to me, so be able to use something like this. I don't need a tall finial. Although, if I approach it from this side, actually, either way I go, I think it will be an interesting prospect. I've got bark inclusions going all the way through here. So I'm going to grab my thin CA glue and I'm going to shoot these up.
Orange and 76 said, "Hey, Dave."
Hey, Dan, how are you? How's it going tonight? So I think I'll grab my thin CA glue and we'll get it into these cracks. Hopefully they're, small enough, narrow enough cracks. I guess that's the right word. The thin stuff will work well. So let me step off inside here. So yeah, how's your week gone, Dan? It's been an interesting one here, weather-wise, and weather-wise especially. I guess it's supposed to rain again tonight. It's down to the low 40s. Hopefully nothing freezes, man. I don't want to. There was big ice storms going through east of here, north and east of here.
Orange and 76 said, "Good. We had the 4 city inspectors in the house to tell me that we don't pass inspections. Law. Once we get all the work done, they have to come back and inspect again."
So they inspected before the work was done? Of course you wouldn't be finished. That's cool. You got an old house like that, though. I've seen a few that look pretty cool. Where I grew up in Colorado, they had the brick Victorian houses, were the general house in the old downtown. The early years of the city. So a bunch of brick.
Orange and 76 said, "Yeah, we just inherited the house. They need to inspect before we can move in. but we need to do all the work before we try moving in, so we don't have to dance around the living spaces.
Right. Yeah, I get that. All right, let me...
Orange and 76 said they had to inspect before they changed over all the paperwork.
Oh, okay. I'm not super familiar with the home inspection stuff. Plus, even renovation and doing stuff like that. I've had houses in the past, but the last time I owned one was, or had partial ownership in one, I should say. Let's see, what year was that? 2018, I think. 2019.
Orange and 76 said, seems dumb to me too, but it is whatever they say it is.
Right? Yeah, just gonna make a joke about my 7-year-long divorce. And that was the partial ownership of that house. Technically, it should be full ownership, but I made some mistakes along the way that I won't make again in the future. Okay. Let's give that a little bit of time. It looks like some of it anyway, at least where it bubbled up here, and that's going to get carved away. Is there a little bit thicker cracks than I was hoping for, but you can see somewhere in some of these smaller cracks, it looks like it's going to hold okay, so hopefully it'll be all right. Yeah, it's life is experiential, right? I am actually I pulled out some scrap wood pieces, and I decided that, or I've been thinking about it anyway, and I figured tonight I'll just go ahead and turn it. I'm going to make myself a slightly bigger salt box than what I have with these pieces parts. This was just a cut off piece off of a log from old maple burl that I'm going to use for the finial. This is an old, I can't remember when I turned this lid, but it was really even wall thickness, and it was maple burl. You can see the curl and stuff in it. This was the layered burl part of it. So I figured, and I found this has been floating around in my space for, I don't know, a couple years, a few years anyway. But I keep lids like this, like, that was a good turn, and I might be able to use that lid somewhere down the road. So I'm going to turn a box, a salt box for myself. And still working on the assessment on this piece. I'm not totally sure that I'm going to use this piece yet for the finial. Let's see, that looks like.
Orange and 76 said,
right? That's my philosophy. I am a wood hoarder, but I use most of it, actually. So let's see, I should have my wrench over here. I got an open end wrench. It's got 1/4 inch and 5/16 on it. I think nope, it is going to be 1/4 inch. That'll be okay. So I'm going to shape my tenon with this open end wrench, or size it rather. The shape is going to be round. These open end wrenches make really, really great tenon gauges, and oftentimes you can find them in old tool sets that you may have lying around. That's where I found this one. I've got some newer ones, one that's specifically 1/4 inch, and the other one that's specific. Well, one that's 3/8 and one that's 5/16, but I keep this one around the lathe just because it's got both sizes on it, and it's fairly accurate. So let's see. I'm gonna grab. Am I gonna grab? Let's see. Not that guy. This guy maybe. I'm gonna clean up the face of this here down by the tenon. Have it slightly concave there so it'll sit on top of the button on that lid. I really don't need a tall finial for this guy, so I think I'm also going to switch to a spindle gouge here. Well, maybe not quite yet. Let's see what we find. I see that my diameter has to come down anyway. Well, there we go. She popped out. Oh, broke my tenon. Well, I'll turn the tenon last on this piece since it's an old burly guy. Let's clean that off. That's a whoops. I should have thought of that ahead of time. Of course, it's not going to hold very much. So I guess we'll recenter this guy. And that looks about right. Now I lost my spot. In the shadows. There we go. It's a little off, but that's all right. Just a little bit. So let me take the diameter down first. Yeah, pretty close. I get the feeling, though, that I missed my mark here. There we go. So let's true that up. Let me move this head out of the way. Practice this so I could do this pretty efficiently. It keeps me from having to pick up a screw and put this tool down. It's the exact same action as a skew. Let's see what the size is on that dude. A little bit more. Well, let's see. If I leave it like that and then chamfer the bottom, that will look okay. So I'm gonna say that's where my tenon is going. Chamfer that after. Now we'll see if all this holds together. with all those bark inclusions. Yeah, that might survive. Let's see, I think I will take it. I'll be able to pick it up with just fingertips. So I want it a little tall enough to get my fingers underneath the bulb. So I think I'll come up to about here. Turning that CA glue, I'm sure you can hear it. Definitely sounds like I'm cutting through plastic. Let's see, that looks about right there. Getting a really nice burnish on some of that wood off the you can see where it's cleaned off here, I think, in the camera. The very bottom nose of that is cleaned off. You can see I'm not using, I'm not riding the bevel, I'm not dragging the bevel, I'm really not using the bevel, except in those coves. I have to catch some of that bevel, and that's the part that's cleaned off there, if you can see that clearly. You know, let me do it this way. I think this is a really good thing to show folks, because you know you hear ride the bevel, rub the bevel. I've heard drag the bevel, and the bevel is just there to show you, to get you started, get you in contact with the wood, and then you actually have to adjust the tool, just a micro adjustment to get the cutting edge to actually engage, and that's what's making, oh, I'm not even showing that in the camera. So the cutting edge, that's what's actually doing the work. And so you can see in general that tool is got wood shape, or sawdust. It's a little dirty now, but that spot right up in there, let me grab this pencil. Right up in there, I think it might even shine a little bit off the light. That little bit was making contact in the cove. It's the cutting action of the tool. It's not the bevel that you're working with. Just as a teachable moment, I suppose. Let's see. I think. Do I want that any thinner? I think it'll be okay the way it is. Just, yeah, that's actually a good size. So I'm gonna go with this. clean that up just a bit. Nice curve in there. And then I'll chamfer this. Actually, I was going to wait on that, wasn't I? To get this tenon down to size. Let's try to do this whole finial between centers. And I will size this tenon. Creating some space here. I don't need much, but just enough to get the tool in there without it getting bound up in the kerf. Alright, so that's trying to break off.
Visit Dave Wecht's Co-Fi page
Put that away.
https://co-fi.com.
I don't know how well this is going to work. We're not really running through anymore. But I just need to get to that point. Let me see. There's that. So that's not in bad shape. I can sand that little bit off, which is what I was trying to get to, and I lost the rest of that. So let me pick that up and put it back in the bucket. That might be a piece for resin work. Okay, let's see. Let's not turn on the air compressor. Let's do it a different way. I'm gonna grab my Jacobs chuck and let's see, I think, yeah, there it is, this sanding pad. And we'll just run it off the headstock. Grab my little drawbar here. I would like it to look a little pretty. It's going to sit on my counter. In theory, anyway. Whoops. Got too close. A little bit too much pressure on the sanding disc there. That's pretty good. I'll do a little bit by hand here. And I'm most likely going to finish this in walnut oil. There we go. Round like it's supposed to be. So let's take a look at this feller here. I probably need to cut a little bit off of that. And I do. I'm going to use the big knife here. Oh my. Breaking away because of the burl, but that should hold in there fine. Let's see, we'll want to match the grain in some direction or another. So there's the lid and the finial. Let's turn a box. So I do have to keep one thing in mind as far as the design consideration for this piece goes. I'm a big proponent of, inspecting your wood as you go. You never know what you're going to find. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's a feature in the wood that causes it to fly apart. Sometimes it's not. This guy is slightly out of round. It warps just a little bit sitting around. So what I have to do, and it looks like I had originally designed this lid to pop down on something and the tenon to go right in there. Instead, I'm going to have to create a recess for this to fit down inside this box that I'm going to turn. And I'm not 100% that it's actually going to fit well, but got to give it a try. So looking at this piece of 8/4, I see this is the outside of the tree, so it's got a little bit of cambium area there. And since this is going to be a bowl shape, I'll put this on the bottom. And I'll turn the bottom first. The bottom and the outside. There. Just make sure it's secure in there. There we go. So first order of business is make it round. Let's take the corners off. So all I'm doing is I've got my ABCs, my anchor. It's here, right here on my body, and then on the tool rest right there. My bevel's pointed in the direction of travel. The bevel's there to give me an idea of where the surface is, what direction I want to go. The tool's going to want to cut best in the angle or the direction that that bevel is pointed, whatever tool it is. So here I'm rubbing the bevel. There's nothing happening. I want to engage the cutting edge, so I got to bring it up just a little bit off the bevel. And it's actually the cutting edge and maybe the tiniest bit of real estate behind that cutting edge. Maybe. It's making contact with the wood, and that's where I'm getting the clean cut. I'm not burnishing the wood with the bevel, which, I mean, you can do that. That's not a bad thing. So there I'm running my anchor, my bevel set. That's the direction I want to go. It's rubbing, rubbing, rubbing. Nothing's happening. I've got to slightly adjust the handle. Now you can see it's starting to cut. I'm going to pull back, start at the outside here, and do a push cut. Everything's anchored, stays the same. All I'm doing is leaning forward with my knees and ankles, ankles, and hips. Since it's anchored here, I'm anchored to the tool rest as well, sliding along. My thumb is really all that's giving weight to the tool to keep it on the tool rest. I have my fingers on the side just to have something for my fingers to hold on to. And I've got my forefinger, my left forefinger is running right across the tool rest. So nothing changes. I just have to lean forward a little bit as fast as the tool can cut, keeping that in mind, and it's an easy cut. I think that's where I want to be. Let's go just a little bit more. I think I want to get rid of that. I just need this to be wide enough to be able to fit the lid inside the top of it. Okay, so there we go. That's all cleaned up. Let's start working on the bottom. Let's see, I think I'm also going to put feet on this. I still need to take that down though. This is also a push cut. I'm just on the other side of the tool, pulling it toward me instead of pushing it away. But everything's the same. The cutting edge is leading in front of the handle. Still technically a push cut, just like this. Is that enough? Nope. Will that be enough? So I'm trying to create a ring for the feet that I want to carve in this. And I want it to be a little bit, the footprint to be a little bit wide, because it's going to be a salt cellar and I'm going to be reaching into it. So there we go. That'll give me plenty of room to make a wider. Let's double check this against the lid before we go any further. I want to have a bit of, well, I can take it down a little bit more. I want to have, or I could round that off. Maybe I'll just round that off. So I want to have a little bit of wall thickness because the lid's going to fit down inside and it's going to push against the outside of the box. And it doesn't have to be a super tight, super strong fit. I suspect it's going to be a little loose because that lid is a little warped. But I also am wondering what's going to happen when using it as a salt cellar, how that's going to change its shape also. Okay, let's see. I think I want it that wide. So here I'm making a clean cut because the timber that I'm pushing into is supporting the cut from below. Let's see. Okay, I think that will be where my feet go. And we got to think about design. Maybe think about design on this piece. Let's see. I also need to undercut a little bit. You know, I'm going to sharpen up my, let's put a new edge on my spindle gouge. It's rather dull for what I want to do next. So I'll take the spindle gouge and I'll refine the outside shape and the foot where that's going to be, because the foot itself, or at least the ring that I'm leaving for the foot, is what's going to give me the hold in the chuck that I want to be able to hollow this piece. And I can finish turning it by reversing the box in the chuck and turning off the bottom. I'll still have to carve where the feet will go, but that's not going to take much work. Not quite right about that. There we go, now we're getting somewhere. I'm going to do adjust the wings a little bit. They needed to come back a little bit more. I really need to get another camera. I'd really like to get another camera so I can set it up next to my grinder. My wing is not straight. And I'll show you that, what I mean by that. when I get back to the lathe. It's looking a lot closer. There we go. Almost there. A little bit of light work, and then I think I'll have it. Wind's about right size. Yeah, that should do. So when I am sharpening my gouges, I'll show you on the bowl gouge too. When I'm sharpening my gouges, I want that wing to be straight right into where it curves at the bottom of the flute on both sides. I don't want any humps in it or anything like that, any divots or humps in it. Here with this tool, if I can get it up into the camera here, let's see. So you see that's a straight line. There is just the tiniest little divot right up in there, and that's from the wood breaking down that edge. So when I refresh this edge, I'll have to bring this wing back a little bit to straighten everything out again. But you don't want any humps in here, unless you're using the Ellsworth grind, and he has the hump on the upper wing, a little bit of a hump, and that when he's cutting the inside of a bowl or whatever, that's what he uses, is this upper corner of the wing right there. And it results in a really sheer cut on the bottom to get rid of that tenon, and that's why he has that. This is Jameson grind, which is, well, we should go way back. Jameson grind, which is straight 60 degree, no hump. It is a variation of the way I understand it, a variation of the Ellsworth grind, which has a little bit of a hump on one side, and then that is also a variation of the Irish grind. This is a parabolic flute, so it's a very wide nose, and I want that flute to be the whole nose all the way down into the bottom there. I want it meet in the center. Same with the spindle gouge. I want it to be, see if I can get that in a better position to see. I want that flute to be right down in there. Oh, you can see with the light reflecting off there. I want that flute, the width of that flute, to be that whole nose. And that's how I like to grind my tools. Oh yeah, that's definitely some hard maple. Looks like a nice curve there. Feet don't need to be anywhere near that tall. And let's bring this around. think I'll want rounded bottom feet. And a little wide. Something like that. And I'll carve the feet out of that, so that means I probably need to tuck this in just a little bit more. Yeah. Ooh, I think that's going to be a nice shape. I'm going to give it an OG, actually. And we go around this guy off. It's easier to turn small things, make small cuts with large tools than it is to do large cuts with small tools. Okay, so that's all set. Now I need to put what design I might want in that. Let's throw some beads in there. And I think I'll burn those. Wait, will I? Yeah, I think I'll burn those in. So I'll grab the picture hanger wire here. So I went and got a roll of picture hanger wire. I'm never going to use the whole roll probably in my whole lifetime, but I'll have plenty enough to, if somebody wants to make one when, I'm teaching or whatever, we need to make a spare. But how I made mine is I turned these two buttons here with a 3/8 hole in it, and then I turned some pegs that are slightly narrower than the holes here to grab hold of that wire, pound those in, and that's my handles. And if I ever need to replace the wire, I just have to knock that out. It's not glued or anything like that. I find it really, really handy. Something you can turn on the lathe pretty quickly. And something you can use right away. Letting that wire cool down on that tool rest there. Physics is fun. Okay, so now let's take a look at how we're going to do this guy. I may have to grab it from the outside, but I'm not sure, and I definitely need to get a lot closer than that. That's pretty close, actually, as far as the curve is concerned. Let's see, let's refine that a little bit more. Trying to look through that ring, that bead ring there, to follow the line. So when I carve the feet, I don't have a lot to carve away there. And then, let's see, let's grab, not that guy, yeah, that guy. Raise this up a little bit. And I should be able to grab it right here. There we go. Now I can cut that tenon off. Actually, I don't have to cut it off right now. That'll fit in the chuck, but the chuck jaws will get right into that foot. And I can use it as an expansion hold. And my curve is really, really close. So I don't have much to sand away when I make these feet. So that's always a plus. All right, let's do a little bit of sanding on the outside of this dude. And because it's hard maple and we'll use a mask. I'm going to kick off some sawdust here. All right. What grit is this? I think that's 150. We don't want 150, we want 220. So just slow my lathe down a little bit. Down into that cove. Double check, make sure we're not leaving any tool marks behind. There we go. That'll do. Okay, let's set this stuff aside. I'm gonna grab a drink of water. Okay. So I should still have, yeah. And who knows, man, this might be even too big for, but I've got, I don't know, a little bit bigger hands, so hopefully that'll work. One moment, please. Okay, so we're done with that bit. Let's get that guy out of there. That is so much nicer than beating the tar out of the headstock. Good Lord. Thank you, Dave Dalby, for throwing that video on Instagram. All right. Should hold pretty good. Let's find out. So I left myself a good quarter, that's actually like 5/16 of an inch on the bead there. So I've got enough good wall strength to push against with the chuck jaws. There's no splits or anything in this piece of wood, so I feel much more comfortable, using an expansion hold in this particular piece of timber. I guess it would be lumber now. Gotta take the tail center out here. Live center. Get rid of the elbow poker guy. Now I can move my tailstock back. Okay, I don't need this tool. Okay, let's make a box. Nice thing about this is it's not going to be a very deep salt cellar. I don't really need a deep one. Let's see, I think I'll go the rest of the way. on that rim with my sidewall scraper. I guess that's what it's going to be called from now on. Let's see. That would be this guy right here. Let's raise this up a bit. Now, let's see. Okay. I'm going to kind of sort of sneak up on the fit for this lid. And I forgot. Round that over. Okay. You know, man, am I turning? I think I'm turning. Oh, yeah. All right. I was turning at the slowest speed my lathe could go. Okay. Getting closer all the time. Almost there. I'm just taking off really small cuts to sneak up on this. I guess I could scrape it into the side. But I think I'd rather have that cut than scraped. We're getting there. Just about there, and I'll have plenty of wall thickness here in case this wood wants to move a little bit. Whoops. A little bit more. Don't get stuck in there, little feller. Don't want you that tight. So maybe just another real thin pass. Maybe two. We'll see. Oh, that's not bad. That's not bad. That is not bad. Cool. I think I'm right on it. Just in the very, very bottom of that. Wasn't quite 90 degrees. Chamfer that over. Last fit check. Oh yeah, that'll do. I think that'll do. That might still be just a skosh tighter than I want. So let's do this. Let's take a little bit off with sandpaper. Still just a little bit too tight. There we go. That's what I want right there. So since the lid is warped, it's not sitting on all of the, the bottom edge. It's only sitting on, it's like a potato chip, basically. Not as pronounced, of course, but it's only touching on 2 points. So here and here, but that's where all the curl is too. So when it did do its movement over the years, it was the curl, the compression wood in there that made it do that, but which is why I needed to have a box like this. And it'll fit well enough that it'll still be fairly easy to open. But the lid won't just, pop right off. We're talking about salt. I want to try to keep, dust, water, whatever out of it. I need a piece of 220 here. Let's see if I have a piece right next door. There we are. And at the same time that I have made this rim, now I can expand into that rim to be able to finish off the bottom. I can expand into that with the chuck. So that's where I want to be as far as the lid fit is concerned. I think I should put an edge on that too, or a new burr. I think I'll use my, well, not just yet, but I think I'll use my bowl scraper. Oh, thought that looked a little weird. My tool rest was a little high. That sets me up for the bowl scraper really nicely. That's a good depth too. So I'm going to put a fresh burr on this guy. I'll be right back. Okay, let's set you two down there. There we go. Okay, raise this back up. So I'm not pushing the tool into the wood. I'm engaging the cutting burr itself and then allowing the tool to float right on that burr. It's very, very light touch. Essentially, I'm taking just all the high points off on the inside there, so we get a really nice, like this, a very, very nice smooth surface with minimal effort. Yeah, that's a good wall thickness. We'll stick with that. Okay. Got a little bit. Tiniest bit of a hump right there. It's gone now. But that's the surface you get. You know, you're engaging the burr. That's why my handle is up. The tool rest is up a little bit so I can drop the nose of this and engage that burr rather than the, and here you can see the actual bevel of it. The bevel does not touch that clear spot I just hit with my fingertip. So it was all covered in that sawdust. We just want the very, very edge, that burr, to catch into the wood and make that cut. Very, very, very tiny shavings. And I can take this, drop it down, and tilt it over so I get a more sheer cut. With that burr. And that's actually even just a little bit better surface because it was more of a sheer cut with that. All right. Yeah, that's a good fit. I don't want to put it in there just yet, but that is a really nice fit.
Captain Not One said, "Hey, Dave Rye.
Hey.
What are we up to tonight?"
How's it going, man? Started off with a scrap wood project. New thing I'm doing every week. I pick up pieces, parts, and scrap wood and stuff that I've saved over the years. Like, if I can grab it, like this lid here. It's been floating around for quite a few years. I had turned it to for some piece, and I, for some reason, didn't use it. Don't know why. So got some scrap pieces of wood that I'm turning into a salt cellar. And then after that, we'll see what the timber says. All right. Drop that down. Now I can get a better look at that curve. Yeah, that looks like it's pretty much right on. So when I carve the feet here, that curve should follow it nicely. I won't have to carve so much away when I take these spaces out. I'm just going to have 3 feet. So I'll carve those spaces away. And since I've matched that curve so closely, I won't have much shaping to do to make sure that they actually meet correctly. Not right, correctly. So, boom.
Captain.1 said, someone in the Woodturning world said, never throw anything away. ... I think it was pitfall.
Yeah, that's my philosophy. I don't toss things out unless I'm sure that they're not going to be usable. So I just got to glue the feeling of that. And I'll put some finish on it after I carve the feet and do just a little bit of sanding on the bottom there. But that will be my, in theory anyway, new salt cellar. Cool. So I'm going to put that inside. So actually, I think I will. Yeah, I'll put it inside. We'll take care of that later. I like using wood glue on my pieces, especially with the finials, because it's more flexible in different temperature variations. Different, I mean, everybody's house is different, right? Every gallery is different, the humidity levels, all that. And epoxy and CA glue are not as flexible with that. So those joints over time will fail. Much more quickly than I think than the good wood glue would fail. All right, let's see. I think this is kind of. Oh, nope, can't use that one. That one's split. So that blank goes. Might be able to use it for something else. I'm not going to turn it right now. Let's see. What's this guy? Let's see. And all that bark just came right off nicely. That's good. So we'll take a piece, look at this piece of maple here. I've had some pieces sitting down in some of the shavings. So, and, storing it out here during the winter. So, because the drying process will be a lot slower when it's cold and covered. I think this is maple. I think it's sugar maple, actually. So I've got a split happening here, but I'm going to do a twice turn piece, and I think those splits will disappear. Got a bunch of those drying on the racks behind me. Let's get this guy out of the way. That guy out of the way. Sweet. Tailstock comes back. Let's move this guy over. Because we're going to start on the balance point. There's a little bit of pith left in this piece. And it is a tad bit of an odd shape. But
Kofi Stream Bot said, visit Dave Life's Co-Fi page at https://co-fi.com/HIIMDAVE ?
Alright, let's move this guy up here. Let's see where that still heavy in the bottom. Let's move this guy up on this side. So now a little heavy right there. So I think I'm going to move this side up just a little bit more again. Maybe a 1/16 of an inch. I guess I'll move this side up a little bit. Okay, I think that's it right there. Just make sure it's secure in the lathe. There we go. And I'm going to start off with my longer tool rest because this spin around these corners will hit that banjo if I try to get underneath it. And my first job is to get those corners out of there. I may wind up shifting everything this way. We'll see once I want to get these splits off of here and see how much usable material I actually have. Oh, way too high. A little bit low, but I think that'll be all right. Okay, so that all clears. A little bit closer here. light green wood. It's easier to work with, I think. And I'll turn what I got. So what I'm making here is should be a twice turn piece, so it's going to be a Kuksa cup. I need to get rid of these splits here if they don't go too far, and I'd like to use this mass for the cup part. Though we'll see how that works out, because I do need the handle grain to run parallel with the grain on the blank itself, so that is the strongest handle that it can be. If I do it on the side grain, it could snap off a lot easier. So we'll see where I can put this guy once we get rid of those splits. That would be, they will be nasty business if I don't. So it's time for me to change bowl gouges. So I'll do that right now. Okay, I'm not seeing any splits here. I'm seeing a little bit of one right there. So let's get a short bowl gouge happening here. So as I said before, it's a 60-degree grind. It's a straight wing. I want that wing straight. I don't want any humps or dips in it on both sides. All right, let's look for splits here. There's a little bit of a split still there. This is all gone. I need to get rid of that split. But let's see. Let me do this. I don't have to have like the bowl of this cup. You know, closer to that side where the split's at. I can have it over closer to this side. All right, let's see. Get several different light angles here to see if I can see any kind of split. Okay, I don't see one. So I think nope, yeah, right there. Right there. I don't want that split that's there to be part of the finished turning, or to even be present while this piece is completely drying. So all it's going to want to do is open up. And then that'll ruin the piece, and I don't want to. It doesn't make sense to turn something that will destroy itself. I mean, not in this case anyway. Okay, I think I might have gotten it. It was such a tiny dude, like that was all that's left. You can see there's a little bit of punkiness in this where all the spalting has started. But the rest of this, it's a darker wood because it's still kind of wet. All right, so I think I can move everything over like this direction. I think. And then I can have the cup on the fatter part of the wood here, as long as those splits are gone. So I'm going to move it, almost, probably 3/4 of an inch. But this is why I really like starting off between centers, because a lot more capability of moving things around. I'm going to draw a line here to take advantage of features or whatever. You can always change it around. Once it's in a chuck, you've got that one orientation pretty much, unless you're using one of those eccentric chuck, I think it's called. So if I get that line there, and I get this line here, that should be really close. Let's see. They should be really close to each other, like, moving it this direction. I want to say right here. I guess that's an inch. So I want to move it an inch. And I want it to be on this line on both sides from the center. And that will give me, in theory, a less wobbly piece. It's going to be a little bit off balance anyway, because I trued it up, and now I'm going to take it out of that for a little bit. There'll be some vibration. And then I want to move that an inch this way, right? Yep. And that will be my new centers. I can true it up again. And the body of the cup will now be in the thicker part of the wood here on the outside of the log. So I can take advantage of utilizing my centers to get me to a spot that where I can get the best piece out of the wood. I'm not trying to go for the biggest. I want the best piece of timber I can work with. And that is actually a really nice thickness there. I think that should give me like 3.5 inches once it's finished, 3.5 inch diameter, which is really what I want to see at the end once it's dry and ready to turn the second time. All right. So this is going to be a little bit off balance, but at least until I get it round. Okay, let's make sure everything clears. Very good. All right. So I'm watching the ghosting that's happening right here. I'm not watching my tool. I've practiced enough that I know where everything needs to sit with my body mechanics. And I'm watching the cut happen up here because I can't really see it with where the light is happening down here. You can see it through the camera because you're at a different angle. I have to look at it up here. I'm really hogging off some material here. Pretty much using the whole gouge, or the whole wing of the gouge, I should say. So the vibration is starting to drop off some. Always a good thing. All right, so that was going to give me about 4 inches, which will give me, that's about right. And here yeah, that's about right. That's not a bad size for a Kutsa cup. All right, and that I can incorporate into the outside shape. Now I'm just trying to establish where my handle is going to go. Take away sharp corners that might split when they're drying. So there's a little bit of punkiness going on here, just a little bit. Hopefully that won't affect too much. Let's see, I want to grab my spindle gouge because I'm going to need a way to hold this later in the chuck. So that'll be my chuck hole. The cup itself will be just about that tall. Maybe a little bit taller. I need to get rid of that pith, and that's going to come to right about here. on that side. Well, let's draw that line. Let's see how that looks over here. So it's going to get both of them at the second ring out of the dark there. So that's actually fairly well centered this way too, which is nice. Okay, let's see. I need to worry about the top of this dude. So I can put this in the chuck now. And take care of the top. I just need to have an even wall thickness throughout. It's not my final thickness. It just needs to be even throughout. And then when I turn it a second time, I will take it to its final thickness once all the wood has done its movement throughout the drying process, and assuming that it ultimately survives the drying process, because sometimes they don't. But that's why I try to avoid all those splits and checks, ring checks, cracks, all that stuff for a twice turned piece, because so the handle will be on one side or the other going this way off the cup, so that's going to work out all right. And I think I may go ahead and just run this through the bandsaw once I have my thickness here taken care of, and just cut this off so I don't have to mess with it later. The handle's going to be somewhere here or here where the grain is running parallel, the grain on the handle is running parallel with the rest of the grain. Actually, if I take it off now, it'll help with the balance of the piece. So I'm going to go run it through the bandsaw really quick. Cut that section off. Let's see, that's a good height. Let's apply some power. I've had to keep the bandsaw in the kitchen here, which you can't see right now, over the winter, because I have not been able to gut the garage to make room for it yet. All right, let me move that out of the way. That's right. I suppose technically I could have just split it off, I suppose, since the grain is running in the right direction to split that, but instead, let's see, where is it? There it is. Take my chisel. The height, the wall of this wouldn't, oh, you can't, oh, now, yeah, you can see in this camera, the wall of this wouldn't let me get it all the way through the bandsaw, so I'm just going to split this right here. Should split right on that cut. that'll help with the vibration. Let's see. Let's let that guy dry, because that would be a good addition to the resin bucket, I think. Oop. I'm going to swap tool rests again. All that, oop, almost clears, not quite. How about now? Okay, cool. I must have left those inside. I took off my glasses really quick to take. What did I set those? Well, I'm losing my mind already, man. It's not even late. Oh, nope, that's another pair, but I'll take those until I can find. Let's see if they fall down here. No, not under there. Well, not on my head. All right. We have another pair. We're okay. Like, weird shit happening in my life. Like stuff like that. Like, where did I just set that? And it just disappeared. Am I sure they didn't fall off? I guess I could dig through the shavings. Well, let's take care of this first. Really nice shavings off of that. Trying to get whacked by anything spinning around here. They have to have fallen off into the shavings on the other side. Okay, let's see. I think I want to take it a little bit thinner than that. So let's move this guy. Everything's still going to clear. And that is, it's not bad. I still have some pith to get rid of, it looks like, so keep going until it's gone. There's a little bit there. No, that's a bark inclusion, but that's pith. That's a good thickness too, so that'll work. I got rid of that pith.
Kofi Stream Bot said, visit Dave West's Ko-Fi page at https://ko-f.com/HIIMDAVE question graph equals Twitch.
I think the way it reads those links out is pretty amusing. All right, whammer. Move my headstock back. Man, this would be like a perfect opportunity to bring out the 1/2-inch spindle gouge. Come up just a little bit. I think that'll do. Yep, it'll do. So now I want to match my wall thickness of the actual cup to the wall thickness of the handle material. A little bit closer there, and I need to make that thinner. That's a little bit too tall for the bull gouge. There we go. depth here. Go a little bit deeper than that. Bring my tool rest more into play here, so I'm not hanging off so far. Getting some vibration because I'm hanging off the tool rest a ways. Let's see, that is my thickness there, so this needs to be a little bit thinner. And that vibration is because I was really hogging stuff off. Okay, so that's my new depth. That's perfect. And then, just to speed it up just a touch, well, not speed up the bottom, cleaning up the bottom just a bit here. And that should be pretty close. Yeah, that's pretty close. Alright, surface is pretty clean inside and the wall thicknesses are fairly even. I want to round off this edge here because that's a corner that can dry and split. And I want to round off those corners there. And then I'll flip around one more time. Didn't quite get it. Well, I guess I have to do that one by hand with a piece of sandpaper here. I just want to get rid of these sharp corners that can break and split. That's it. So now this piece goes onto the drying rack. And when I finish turning it, it will have be less chance of it moving later down the road. I guess it doesn't really matter a whole lot, I suppose. But I'm treating these as twice turned objects, so what the heck. I'm going to get rid of that tenon. Because that tenon added thickness to the bottom right there in the center, and I want it to dry as evenly as possible. All right, so hopefully that one survives. Like I said, I got rid of all the splits, all the cracks, got an even wall thickness all the way through, including the bottom. Although it is a little bit thicker because of this tenon that I'm going to use to hold on to it once it's dry to true everything up. Or at least I'll true the inside of this first, then I'll flip it around and true up the outside. I'll be able to carve the handle. That looks like a good spot right there for a handle. Actually, both sides do. I'll probably choose this one since it's got a bit of a bark inclusion in it. Actually, looks like a branch pith, but I'll cut that away. So I'll carve the handle here on this side as the grain runs parallel with, or the handle and the grain in the handle will run parallel with the grain in the piece. Make it a stronger handle. Cool, that's ready to go. Let's grab another piece. Let's see, sits you right there. What are we going to turn next? What are you? You are a piece of crotch wood, beetle eaten. That might be fun. I think this guy. Oh, well, I don't know, actually. Let's take a look. In the light. Okay, that's all bark inclusion. This is a piece of maple crotch wood. It's been hit pretty hard by beetles. I think it's maple. I don't know that I'll be able to use that piece because I got splits coming all the way to there. And I don't think turning this into a bowl will solve that problem. Hey, but we can find out. Let's find out. Alright, let's move these aside. That one aside. That one aside. The bowl gouge will be the first guy. Oh yeah, that's definitely a bark inclusion. That whole thing. So this clearly split off part of the crotch where all that grew in there. So we're going for the balance point. It'll be about that close. All right. See where we wind up here. Come on. There you go. So heavy that way. Definitely heavy that way. Whoops. Oops. Fell out of its... little spot there. Okay, let's spin this around. Now will let me get this point out here. check. There we go. No, the other microphone ran out of power. Thank you, though. So I got the secondary microphone on. So it's almost gone. But I think I want to, well, let's make another pass or two. I really want to get rid of that. So that, yeah, there's still just a little bit. Man, this will be a small piece then. I guess that's all right. So it's almost gone right there. I think if I, let's see, I want to tilt this way, like that. I think if I can round that edge off, that might get rid of the last of that. So no, there. All right. Where was it? Right there. So let's do that. Okay, I think I got it. So let's take this. Be an interesting shape. big deal. Although I really don't like holding on to it this way, but we'll do it anyway. What I mean is, I'm right at the apex, the outside of the tree, where everything comes together real close. So if I'm not careful, this can break away because it'll have a natural cleave line right along the grain there. I want to turn that away and not break it off. I also want to play with this shape. This is looking kind of interesting and different. So I put it in the chuck to hollow it out. So 1/4 inch of material, which means, and then that'll be the wall. That'll all be wall, but this will all be gone. All right, let's see what that looks like. And I think we can do it in 15 minutes. What happened to you? Did I not put you away in the right spot? I suppose I did not, unless you fell off somewhere. Ah, there you are. Grab my extra special magnet to pull up my Allen wrench from the other side. All right. Aha. In that case, looks like I need to turn just a little bit more away off of this surface, because that's bottoming out in the chuck. And that's a no-no. No, it won't. All right, let's try this again. Or wait, do I just change the whole shape? This could be an interesting little snifter. Sorta. I mean, it's missing part of it. Okay, so actually, I think if I round this off, yeah, I'm going to round this side off before I start to open it up. Interesting. That's what I was talking about. That would easily split off. So let's do some pull cuts here and see if we can't get it to work better that way. Not the best orientation for a chuck, having the grain parallel with the face of the chuck. The pull cut's working better. Let's get a lot closer in there. And I took the tool out of the handle. You can't get the handle all the way around. That looks pretty good. I'm not going to sand that yet, so we'll see how it handles being hollowed out. But not with the bowl gouge. Easy there, cowboy. bit closer. Oop, that's not going to clear. All that will clear. All right, cool. Not too bad. Oh, that reminds me, Joe, Kyle, I'd like to talk to you to find out if the Gaylord show is still going on. I understand they're out of power in a lot of places out there. So I didn't know if they're still setting up on Friday. I'll give you a call. Or, you know, answer me here in chat. That'll work too. I know you guys don't stay up as late as I do. Actually, this might be a pretty groovy candle holder when I get down to it. Let's get this guy just a little bit closer. Whoops. Yep, that holding the chuck just isn't all that great because of the grain orientation.
Wiley Smiley Kylie said, "We think yes. So far, we'll know more probably by Thursday morning."
Okay, cool. Thank you very much. I just had heard today that Gaylord, Alpena, all that direction lost power because of the ice storms that they got. So I wasn't sure how that was going to work out. But they definitely have time to get the power back, I would think. I don't know how many people are out of power. I guess it's pretty bad, but there we go. That's looking much better. You know, what the hell am I doing? Like, this whole thing could be done with a frickin' Forstner bit. Oh. So I think I'll do that. Well, not the whole thing. I mean, I'll have to finish it off. Boring down in there. But now I'm at a spot that I can get a Forstner bit in there and everything will be copacetic, as opposed to trying to use a Forstner bit on, like, you know, that part that the half of it's missing right here. So I've got yeah, these are the same, I think. Which one's sharper? That one. So that's what I'll do. I'll open it up with the Forstner bit and then finish it off with a spinner gouge or my bowl scraper. Here I am. That's just silliness, man. Get into the rhythm of turning, and then, I don't know, brain gets shut off. It's like, what's a more efficient way to handle this? But that's okay. Didn't think about it. Not a problem. Now I haven't. I only got halfway through, so. And the hold in the chuck might, maybe, be all right for this. So I'll do that later. Oh my goodness, I got lots of dust everywhere. Okay, let's just do that. And that is going to wrap up the broadcast for this evening. So I'll be back tomorrow night, Wednesday evening, 8 to 11 Eastern Standard Time. I want to thank you for joining me this evening. My name is Dave. I'm a woodturner. Hopefully that's obvious if you didn't just show up. I started this channel to become a better demonstrator and a better teacher and a better turner, and to help other turners become better turners too. And the more that I work with or the turners I really enjoy teaching, the more I work with other turners, the more that also gets cemented into my head. And you know, the practice that I put into play, that is the secret sauce. It is practice, 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 which is another reason why I have this broadcast. It gives me more time behind the wheel, so to speak, and a perceived audience, even if nobody's out there. You know, I'm in front of people, right? And I'm able to demonstrate my skills, show my wood turning, and teach along the way and have some fun. So thank you very much for joining me on this lovely Twitch Tuesday. I'll be back again for Wood Turning Wednesday tomorrow, right here, same channel, same time frame. I hope to see you tomorrow evening along for the ride. If not, next week, Tuesday and Wednesday. I do have a mini vacation coming up, so towards the end of the month, there might be a broadcast or two that might be missed because I'll be traveling. But in between now and then, I hope you tune in. I hope that you enjoy the content and that you follow. Please subscribe. That helps this channel improve by equipment like cameras. I've got extra cameras I need to get. And at some point I will need to update my computer. I'm not asking for people to pay for that, but I mean, why not? You know, I mean, yeah, please, the more you subscribe, the more people subscribe, the more I can improve and upgrade the equipment and improve the channel. So thank you very much for your support. Again, I hope to see you all tomorrow evening. I'll be back 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time until 11 p.m. Same time zone. And I appreciate you tuning in. So hope you stay friendly. I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening, and I hope to see you soon. Good night, folks.